Thank you for joining Smith, Gambrell & Russell's podcast. Today we have Gavin White, a partner here at SGR. Gavin is a commercial litigation partner in SGR's Miami office, which opened last year. Gavin has nearly 20 years of legal experience in the South Florida market. He has represented a wide range of businesses, including lenders, commercial property owners, and various service providers, including a zipline company to which he serves as outside general counsel, a moving company franchisee, and multiple restaurants. Welcome, Gavin.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So today we are talking about COVID-19 and some of the litigation issues many businesses will face when it comes to COVID-19. So, Gavin, let's talk about what we are believing we're going to see in the future, how some companies can maybe avoid some of those issues now or just protect themselves as they go through this crisis. What are you seeing just generally in the market? What are some of your perspectives before we get into some specifics?
Sure thing. By speaking to some of my clients already about what they're going to be looking at, it's going to be new flavors of breach of contract actions. We're going to be digging deep into certain affirmative defenses that we frankly just don't see on a daily basis in regular litigation. We're going to see a lot more defenses of commercial frustration. We're going to see force majeure issues, impossibility of performance. These are things that don't come up on a regular basis, but I think litigators need to be prepared to delve into certain defenses that don't have as big and as a developed body of case law behind them. I'm also expecting to see some of my clients specific performance lawsuits. Thinking about one particular client of mine, they are currently operating under multiple contracts to build entertainment facilities all across the Caribbean for some of their clients. They're very concerned, and rightfully so, that it'll be impossible to perform those agreements through no fault of their own because of the COVID-19 crisis, creating a crisis in who their manpower will be. These are all issues that we're going to be looking at now for 3 months in the future.
Yeah.
Another issue that I'm seeing popping up too, both with my practice as well as just general chatter that I'm seeing in the industry, is insurance coverage disputes. I was watching a news station the other night. I saw some talking heads interview 2 celebrity chefs, and these celebrity chefs, who, mind you, they don't have law degrees that I'm aware of, were arguing that the federal government should step in and essentially issue federal legislation that overrides exclusion provisions in their business interruption insurance policies. Most of the business interruption cases that I've handled against carriers in my life have been very fact specific. So we're going to be looking at those kinds of issues to see whether or not particularly small businesses have covered losses for business interruption due to COVID-19. I think it's generally accepted that we're in store for a huge amount. Arguably, the majority of litigation that I see coming from this will be real estate based. Yeah. There are going to be a lot of commercial landlords who are not going to be in a position to comply with their obligations under the leases with their tenants. And I think it goes without saying that there are going to be a lot of tenants who, through no fault of their own, will be unable to pay rent and do other things to comply with their obligations. There's going to be a huge amount of real estate litigation, I believe, that springs from this. I've also pinpointed potential products liability and breach of warranty claims that we'll be seeing. I think most people listening to this can recall at least some product that is trying to argue that it can help prevent COVID-19. Whether or not that's sufficient to sustain a product's cause of action will remain to be seen, but it's something that needs to be paid a great deal of attention to. A very big area that I see is also in employment litigation. I think a lot of people who are listening to this know of someone who's been let go from their job through no other reason other than COVID-19. I know I've seen some of my clients have to go through the layoff process, which is obviously challenging for an employer and for the employees. There are certain temptations to employers, and I've seen this over the years, having represented many restaurants. I jokingly say that I've represented more French restaurants in Miami-Dade County, Florida than any other lawyer, because I think I was representing 3 different French restaurants a couple of years ago on different matters.
Wow.
And each I like French food, but I didn't go courting these clients. But they've all run afoul of the FLSA, the Fair Labor Standards Act. It's a very challenging statute that I've had to represent clients on, when what we can possibly see are there's some of these cottage industries of lawyers that operate out there, essentially trying to bring in prospective clients through very aggressive marketing to wait staff and whatnot. Well, we're going to be seeing a lot of clients relaxing some of the precautionary measures they've enacted to monitor when people are working and when they're not working, because they're worried about sustaining their business. That makes them very good targets for these cottage industry plaintiffs lawyers who are going to represent employees against them, saying, hey, look, I worked 45 hours, not 5 hours. You didn't properly docket it because of the COVID crisis. 5 hours of time is not all that much until you start getting into statutory damages, and the bigger issue being the statutory attorney's fees that come along with FLSA cases. For some of my lender clients over the years, I've done RESPA defense. That stands for the Real Estate Settlement Procedures Act. That is another area that it is not very common, but there's a cottage industry of plaintiffs' lawyers that will recruit borrowers to make certain demands following very stringent statutory guidelines upon their lenders. Then, if the lender doesn't reply with the right information in the right timeline, the lender is subject to causes of action, federal causes of action, I should say, that have attorney's fee shifters on them. So how will this grow from COVID-19? Well, we're going to see a lot of people having problems paying their mortgage. We're going to see a lot of people Googling for help. They're going to stumble onto those lawyers that are doing these marketing campaigns to bring in these kinds of clients. I worry that certain lenders are not going to be properly staffed to deal with 4 to 5 times the volume of RESPA demands that they've seen before. And there will be a cottage industry of these lawyers that will be pushing these. One of the funny things about RESPA cases that I've handled is that half the time the quoted plaintiff has no idea the lawsuit's even been filed.
Wow.
They simply went to a lawyer trying to get some information about a modification. The lawyer signed them up, sent the letter out, and then it's a big surprise when I want to depose them. We could see a huge uptick of that. Now, there's an old saying that every good general hates war, and every good commercial litigator should always hope that the client comes to them before the problems occur.
Yes.
If only more clients would do that, they could avoid a lot of litigation. And we at SGR are fantastically equipped to help business owners navigate their way through good practices now. A little bit of money now being spent on talking to an employment lawyer to make sure that how you're going about your unfortunate layoffs or furloughs, or reducing work staff, and then accepting the fact that you're going to pay certain employees overtime, can do a lot to save big dollars on the litigation spend in 6 months' time from now. Similarly, with our lending clients, we can help through our banking lawyers to put in good practices that can help expect a big influx of RESPA demands prior to the potential of getting to litigation. These are all advanced planning that I'm hoping our clients take us up on.
Yes. Yeah. Lots of potential litigation that can happen, and great advice for businesses on what they can do now. So communication, reaching out before it all happens is critical, it seems. So what can we expect in South Florida? I know that obviously you're there. You do a lot of work there, have great contacts, including French restaurants. But what else? What else can we expect from litigation afterwards?
Well, I think litigants in South Florida, when I say South Florida, I mean everything from Indian River County in around Vero Beach, Florida, all the way down to the Florida Keys, where the majority of my practice is, need to be ready for extremely long delays, unfortunately, with the court system. We're already seeing massive cancellations. Recently, there were some orders that came out that all non-essential proceedings in Dade and Broward County, Dade being where Miami is, and Fort Lauderdale is situated in Broward County. Everything's been postponed till April 17th. So we're looking at every deposition, everything you can imagine being pushed back, and everyone's getting pushed back evenly in the civil arena, from what I can tell, absent a few very limited cases of true emergencies. So we're looking at things that would have been resolved probably, by late this year. I think we'd be lucky if it all got resolved, say, by middle or late 2021. One of the things that I was talking to some colleagues about the other day was the future of depositions, because if some of the warnings are right about COVID-19, that this is going to become seasonal, and we're going to be looking at more extended periods like this. I think most litigators and most clients who are listening to this are probably aware of certain witnesses who have really fought really hard not to be deposed over the years. And we're going to see a new tool in that arsenal. And we need to be extremely ready for that. Now, but there is some good news here too.
Okay.
And the good news is that I think that there's been technology for 5 to 10 years that can make things more efficient. In Florida, we are going, I think it's year 7 now of e-filing, which has become the norm, which for those of us with gray in our beards like myself, I remember rushing to the courthouse to get things filed on time, which is a lot easier now with e-filing. But we're going to see a lot of hearings that are not going to be dispositive or regarding a critical evidentiary hearing. Those kinds of matters, I think the judges and the lawyers and the parties are all getting used to the idea of, we can do this on the phone. A motion for extension of time to respond to discovery, which frankly should be worked out in most cases, but sometimes it cannot be worked out. Those are the kind of things that we can pretty easily resolve via a phone conference that doesn't require heading to court, taking the court's time like that. And I think there is going to be a silver lining in, we're all going to become more accustomed to, including the court systems that have been the slowest people to respond to this. But I think we're going to see an embracing of certain technological efficiencies. So it's going to be rough in the beginning, but ultimately the efficiencies will lead to probably reduced fees for the clients, which I think we can all agree is a great thing.
Great. Well, thank you for ending on that positive note. That was some great news.
As a litigator, you see so much. You see so many conflicts that it's you always want to stay on the sunny side of life.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Gavin. This has been extremely helpful and very interesting. How can a listener reach you if they have more questions?
Sure thing. My email is gwhite@sgrlaw.com.
Sure.
Like most lawyers, I'm open to give my mobile phone out to everyone, and that number is 786-512-5477. And I am happy to give that to anyone and everyone.
Wow, you're a bold soul. Okay, great. Well,
I've been doing it for a long time, and I'm in the minority of doing this, but I'm fine with that.
Great. Well, thank you so much. And of course, if any of you have any other questions about any of our practice areas, feel free to visit our website at www.sgrlaw.com. Again, thank you, Gavin, and feel free to visit the website and look at his bio for any other information about Gavin. Have a great day.